Okay. Well, at my age, I don't remember a lot about it. We owned it 50 years ago, and my memory is kind of gone. Well, don't look at me like that because you know it is. We bought the Silver Cliff. I don't remember the year. My husband was driving a truck, and I run the place. We had Western Union and Railroad Express in there, and we had seven apartments that was full all the time with older people, and then we rented rooms by the night. And I'd done most of the work there. I couldn't afford any cleaning ladies, so I done all the work and made the beds. And then we had this construction out north here, and a couple of them stayed up there. So this gal got a real good friend of mine with me, and she said, "Theresa, I will clean rooms for you. I'll help you." She said, "Because I'm just sitting here, my husband's working." So Pat Fowler, she helped me clean rooms. And we had a bedroom upstairs, and we had an apartment in the basement, and it was really a nice big apartment. You come down the stairs, and there was a big room there with the laundry room, and we heated with coal, and we had a furnace room with a coal bin back there, and they went up and got coal and brought it back from Douglas and unloaded the coal, and you had to shovel coal in every night before you went to bed, and then every morning you had to get up and take all the cinders out and restart it all over again. So I was quite busy doing that, but I loved every minute of it. Let's see. We rented the rooms. We had one lady that lived upstairs, Emma Moreland, and she lived in an upstairs apartment as you went up the stairs right on the corner, and she lived there the whole time that we owned the place. And Broken Rope used to be an Indian that sat on the streets out here and painted with great big wide brushes. He came in one day and he said, "Can I paint a picture for you?" And I said, "Well, I don't care. How much you want for it?" He said, "I just want to do it." So he said, "Can I look at the place?" So he looked at the Silver Cliff, and he said, "Oh, that wall up there would be beautiful." Well, for just a little painting? I said, "Well, go for it." He took his wide paintbrush and painted that whole wall a scenery picture.
Wow.
He used to sit on the curb and sell pictures, send all the money. Well, right at first he was a drunk, and he used to spend a lot of money at the bar. Then he got to where he thought, "I did enough of this, I better send money home to my parents." So my husband at that time, he played drums at the Silver Dollar, and he was in there one night playing drums, and he didn't have nothing on the front of his drums. And Broken Rope happened to walk in, and he said, "Hey, Vern, that looks terrible. I'm going to paint you a picture." And he took that brush, and with like 4 swipes, he had the most beautiful scenery picture on that. He was just amazing. Well, then my husband got sick, and before this, let me back up a bit. We was cleaning rooms one day. I was by myself, and he was in the basement. He was home from driving a truck, and I went upstairs, and I said, "What is that smell, for heaven's sakes?" So I went down, and I said, "Earl, you need to come upstairs." I said, "There's something up there. I don't know if it's a fire or if it's something dead or what, but it stinks." So he came upstairs, and he walked around and looked, and he said, "Boy, it's terrible, isn't it?" He said, "I think it's in this room." And I said, "Oh my God." Well, this old rancher that lived out the other side of Manville happened to come in the night before, and he was a pain in the... So I said, "What's his name is in there?" He said, "Well, I don't know." I said, "Well, I don't know. I hope he's okay." So he opened the door, and we stepped in, and our rooms were just single rooms with a bed and a dresser and a chair and a sink. Well, this darn guy, he shit in my sink. I said to my husband, I'll be right back. And I went down the stairs, out the door, down to the Silver Dollar. And I said, is Dave Bryant in here? And the bartender says, no, he just left. I said, well, he's darn lucky because I'd have killed him. So I called the cops, went back up, and I decided to call the cops. So they came up and looked, and they said, oh my God, that's terrible. They said, do you want to press charges? And I said, yes, I do. I said, whenever he comes back, I said, I want him arrested. Well, it was, I don't know, a couple of months. The cops called me when they said, Theresa, guess who's in town? I said, arrest him. So they arrested him. We went to court. Well, they didn't do nothing. They said, well, I'll tell you what, you will pay for her cleaning, and then you will not ever set foot in the Silver Cliff Hotel again. He said, okay. Well, like I said, our bedroom was upstairs behind the desk there, so we had a two-way mirror so we could see out. And one night, about a couple of weeks later, I heard someone holler, Theresa, Theresa, like 2 o'clock in the morning. I looked out my peak window, and there was Dave Bryant standing at the door. So I got on my house coat, went out there. Well, I called the cops in the meantime because we had a phone. Went out, and guess what? He was running down the street, waving at me. Well, the cop says there's nothing I can do because he wasn't caught in the restaurant. And I put up with that for several months before he decided to leave town. So that was one of my bad experiences there, and that was the worst one.
How many rooms did you have, Theresa?
Pardon?
How many rooms did you rent?
I think we had like 14. We had quite a few rooms. Like I said, some of them were, we had 2 apartments that were 3-room, and the rest were just 2-room apartments. Of course, the bathroom, you know, the old times, 50 years ago, we had a shower, a tub and bathroom in the middle of each hall. So then my husband got sick. He had cancer. So he went to the hospital in Casper. And I was trying to run the hotel and trying to go up and see him. And I finally decided I need to get a job because we're not making much money here. And, you know, and that was years ago, didn't have all that insurance. So I went to work for Roger Percival. So Earl came home after one time there, and he said, you know, you can't do this. He said, I'm going to let my sister run the hotel. I said, okay. He said, you're working at Rogers, you can't run them both. So he turned the hotel over to his sister. Well, that was a big mistake because she decided, okay, this is my place of building. Theresa don't have to come in anymore. So she wouldn't let me in. She got a restraining order against me that I couldn't go in. So all this stuff, the pictures and everything from the Silver Cliff was left up there, and I couldn't get it. I couldn't get in. Well, then he died, and that made it worse. So she run it for like 3 years, and I tried to go up and get in, and no way. She wouldn't have nothing to do with me. And she was filthy. Filthy. So I remarried then, and he was fire chief. So one day they come to him and they said, you know what, that Silver Cliff is terrible. It's filthy, it's dirty. She doesn't empty the water in the tubs in the hallway. So he went up and looked, and he condemned it. He shut it down. And that's what happened to that. It was shut down. And nothing I could do to get anything, pictures or anything out of it. My daughter had polio, and she played the clarinet when she went to school. and there was an old piano up there, the old style, with a bench, you know, that opened up, and she had put all her music in there that she saved. She said to me one time, "Mom, I wish I could get that music out." I said, "Well, I can't get in the Silver Cliff." And she said, "I tried too." So I said, So one night I said to her, "Let's go get it." So we got a pickup, we drove up there, and that big window on the front of it, on the side there, is the window we put in for Railroad Express. So I said, "Let's get this open." And it wasn't long, so we pushed it open. I said, "I know where it is. Now you go on down and go right over there along where the door is, and it should be sitting right there because that's where the piano is." And I said, "You slide it over and we'll take it out." So I said, "And I'll watch guard out here for me." So she finally come and brought it to the window, and we got that out. And we just got in the back of the pickup and started to drive by, when here come the cops. But we was already so we just drove on back down and took it over to her house, and she still, I think her daughter has got it now with the piano, but we got it out. But that's the only way. I do have some pictures, I'm sure, and all my stuff. And this winter I'm planning on going through a lot of that, so if I find any, I will give them to the museum, because I'm sure I got some. And I think my daughter has got one that she's got on her wall that we could take maybe a picture of, just to get a picture down here of the Silver Cliff. And that when we owned it, the House of Ill Repute was open, and she was a wonderful lady. She used to walk by, but you know, she was the kind of lady that if you spoke to her, she would speak to you and be really friendly. But if I was outside doing something and she'd walk by and I didn't speak first, she would never push herself off on you. And she did that after we owned the liquor store. The same thing, she would never. But if you spoke first, she was the most friendliest, nicest lady I ever saw.
Was that broken rope thing still on the wall down there?
You know, I'd like to know, but the floors are all, they said the floors are all fell down. We always had trouble with the ceiling up there, but you know, it leaked. And then that front what really needs to be done to that place, it needs to be tore down before something falls.
Yeah.
Because now you can't even get in it. Yeah. I can remember, here's another story. Working at the liquor store. And one night I was working, and here come like 4 kids. One of them was my granddaughter. And I had always told them that nobody goes in that Silver Cliff. It's dangerous. Well, they come in crying. I said, "What in the world's wrong?" "We was up to Silver Cliff and we had a Ouija board and we got scared." I said, "What was you doing at the Silver Cliff?" "Well, we didn't know where to go. We even started a little fire in a container." I said, "Oh, for crying out loud," and they were crying. This one kid says, "Boy, I tell you what, that scared me. That guy knew what nobody else supposed to know. I asked a question and nobody knew it, and he answered it for me." And my granddaughter said, he was ready to jump out the window when they decided they better do something. I said, "Well, there's nothing I can do for you. I told you not to go up." But I said, Polly Boner. She was into all this stuff.
Yeah, she was.
So I said, "I'll tell you what, I'll call Polly and see if she will help you girls." So I called her and she said, "Send them up." And she did. But they all wore crucifixes and everything after that. So anyhow, that's all I know about the Silver Cliff. It needs to be tore down before somebody gets hurt. in there because they say the floors are all gone. They're rotted out because the leaking of the, But I loved the place. It was a great place, and we had a lot of good customers, and we had a lot of fun up there. We had a big table on one side that we put puzzles together. And we didn't have a TV back then, but we had radio. Couldn't afford a TV.
So Theresa, what years did you own it?
That's what I was afraid she's going to ask. We had it for, I suppose, 10 years. Because my husband, at that time when he died in 73. And he let his sister have it probably a year or two before that, see. So that's about as close as I could get.
So it was condemned around about 75?
75, so yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Wow.
He said, when he came back from up there looking at it, he said, the tubs were all full of water, dirty water. She never,
You never drank
I
it.
said, well, that figures. That's what happened to it. But everything that we had was left up there, and I have no idea what happened to all that stuff. So, that's the end of and I loved the place. It was,
Nice.
Thanks, Teresa.